Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever found yourself surrounded by people who, no matter how much effort you put in, seem to drain your energy, cloud your judgment, and hold you back from the person you truly want to become? Have you ever wondered why, despite your best intentions, certain people seem to enter your life only to leave you feeling discouraged, confused, or stuck? What if I told you that sometimes the people who leave your life, the ones you thought you needed, were actually meant to go all along? Today, I want to speak to you about a powerful truth, one that many of us forget during the difficult moments of our lives. A truth that, when embraced, can change the way you approach every relationship, every setback, and every challenge you face. The truth is, God, the universe, fate, whatever you believe in, will remove the wrong people from your life when the time is right. It may not feel like it at first, but trust me, it's happening for your benefit. This process of removing the wrong people from your life may be painful. It may leave you questioning your worth, your choices, or your future. But I am here to remind you that what is truly meant for you will never be taken away. In fact, some people who walk out of your life are the very ones you need to thank for giving you the opportunity to grow, to heal, and to become the person you were always meant to be. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that there are certain people who come into your life with all the right words, all the right promises, but over time, their presence begins to feel more like a weight than a source of support? These people may start by offering advice, love, or companionship, but slowly they morph into something else. They become critical, manipulative, or distant. They make you question your worth, your choices, and your path. And yet you hold on to them because deep down you fear being alone, or believe that their behavior is somehow your fault. Here's the truth. Toxic people are not your responsibility. You did not cause their negativity, their inability to give, or their unhealthy patterns. They are who they are, and their behavior is a reflection of their own unresolved issues, not a reflection of you. But here's where things get tricky. Sometimes we choose to ignore the warning signs. We allow ourselves to be surrounded by people who do not have our best interests at heart. And why do we do this? Because we're afraid of losing them. We're afraid of confronting the reality that this person may not be good for us. It's natural to want to hold on to relationships. After all, we've invested time, emotion, and energy. But the reality is, when we refuse to let go of relationships that no longer serve us, we also refuse to let in new people, new opportunities, and new blessings. You cannot move forward while holding on to people who are holding you back. What happens when the wrong people stay in your life for too long? You become stagnant. Your growth slows down. You start to doubt yourself because the voices around you are telling you who you should be rather than encouraging you to be who you truly are. This is where the concept of removal comes in. You see, sometimes it isn't us who should be doing the removing, it's the universe, fate, or even a higher power. And when these people leave, it's not a punishment, it's a gift. A gift that will eventually make you stronger, clearer, and more in tune with your true potential. Now, I know it's hard to think about this when you're in the middle of the storm. It's difficult to see how losing someone can possibly lead to growth. But consider this. Have you ever looked back on your life and realized that certain people had to leave for you to grow, to evolve, to become the person you are now? Maybe you didn't see it at the time, but hindsight often has a way of revealing the truth. The people who left your life were not part of your destiny, and their absence has made room for something greater. Think about it for a moment. When you hold on to people who are not in alignment with your goals, values, or vision, you compromise your ability to fully express yourself. You begin to play small to accommodate them, to make them feel comfortable. You begin to dim your light, to settle for less, because you're trying to please someone who doesn't even have the capacity to understand your journey. But when those people are removed, intentionally or unintentionally, the fog begins to lift. Suddenly you can see your life more clearly. Your path becomes less cluttered, less chaotic. You start to hear your own voice, your own desires, your own instincts. Clarity comes when the wrong people are removed and space is created for the right ones to enter. I want you to think about the power of letting go. There is freedom in release. When you stop trying to hold on to the wrong people, you free yourself from unnecessary baggage. You free yourself from the energy-draining, soul-sucking interactions that keep you from stepping into your highest self. And as hard as it is to acknowledge, sometimes the hardest part isn't the removal itself. It's the decision to trust that you are worthy of better. There's an incredible shift that happens when you start to trust in the process. When you stop fighting to keep people in your life who do not bring out the best in you, the universe in its infinite wisdom will remove those who no longer serve your highest good. And while it may be painful, the truth is those people were never meant to stay. You will be left with the people who truly see you, support you, and challenge you to be the best version of yourself. When you let go of toxic relationships, you begin to realize that not all relationships are meant to be forever. Some are meant to teach you lessons. Some are meant to offer you experiences, but not to stay. Not every person is meant to be a permanent fixture in your life. You need to trust that the ones who are meant to stay will find their way into your life when the time is right. And when they do, they will not take away from your energy, they will add to it. And here's the truth that may surprise you. You have the power to choose who stays and who goes. While the universe has a hand in guiding the people who are removed from your life, it's important to remember that you have a responsibility to protect your peace. You don't have to wait for a grand event to end a toxic relationship. You can make the choice today. You can decide that you will no longer tolerate negativity, manipulation, or drama in your life. Your boundaries are sacred and your peace is priceless. In fact, the moment you start to value your own peace, the universe will start to remove people who disturb it. You will begin to notice that your relationships become more meaningful, more authentic, and more aligned with who you are and who you want to be. The people who are meant for you will support your journey, not hinder it. They will inspire you, not drain you. And here's something else I want you to consider. The process of removal isn't always sudden. Sometimes it's gradual. It might start with small shifts. Less communication, less connection, less drama. But trust that when the time comes, the right people will fade out of your life, making room for new relationships, opportunities, and experiences that will elevate you. But before that can happen, you must first accept that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lesson, and when their time is up, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply the universe clearing the way for the new, the better, and the more aligned to your future. Embrace the fact that the right people will always find their way to you, even if the wrong ones have to leave first. Trust the timing of your life. Trust the process. Trust that everything happening, every person who enters and exits your life is part of a greater plan for your growth and success. So remember this, God will remove the wrong people from your life, not to punish you, but to protect you. What you may see as a loss is actually a blessing in disguise. You will heal, you will grow, you will rise to new heights, and you will become exactly who you were always meant to be. Trust that the universe is working in your favor, and when the time is right, the wrong people will be gone, and the right people will be there cheering you on. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize that every relationship, every person who walked out of your life was simply making room for something better. Trust the process. and trust that your journey is unfolding just as it should. Sometimes we unknowingly allow people into our lives who, while they may seem good at first, end up hindering our growth. These individuals may have the best intentions, or they may appear to be supportive and loving, but over time they reveal a side of themselves that holds us back rather than lifts us up. These people, whether intentional or not, can become obstacles to our personal progress and emotional well-being. They may challenge our values, drain our energy, or even manipulate us into behaviors or thoughts that do not align with who we truly are. When we allow toxic individuals into our lives, we often don't realize the long-term impact they have on us. Initially, it might seem like their presence is harmless or even beneficial. They may offer advice, comfort, or companionship, and for a time, their support feels validating. But as time goes on, cracks begin to form in the relationship. You start to notice patterns. Perhaps they begin to criticize your choices, undermine your confidence, or manipulate situations to serve their interests. They may emotionally drain you with their constant negativity, leaving you feeling less than, unable to truly express your desires or question your own instincts. Over time, the relationship, which once felt fulfilling, now feels like a burden. And yet, despite all of this, many of us continue to hold on to these people. We believe that they are an essential part of our lives, that they bring something valuable, even if it's just comfort. Even if it's just familiarity. We fear being alone or fear losing their approval, so we ignore the warning signs, hoping things will get better. But this desire to hold on, this fear of letting go, often comes at the cost of our own personal development. When we are surrounded by people who hold us back, we begin to limit ourselves. We don't grow because we are constantly looking over our shoulders, questioning our every move, or trying to appease someone else. These individuals may not directly tell us to stop growing, but their actions and words subtly reinforce a narrative that limits our potential. They might scoff at our goals, suggest we aim lower, or manipulate us into staying within a smaller, more comfortable box that aligns with their own fears and insecurities. On the other hand, personal growth requires freedom. Freedom from negativity, freedom to make mistakes, freedom to rise after failure, and freedom to pursue our passions without fear of judgment or ridicule. This freedom cannot coexist with relationships that drain us, that demand too much of our emotional energy, or that prevent us from living authentically. It is in those moments when we begin to notice the negative influence someone is having on us that the process of self-reflection becomes crucial. We must ask ourselves if this person is truly serving us in our journey toward becoming the best version of ourselves. The truth is, sometimes the people who we think are helping us may actually be stifling our growth. By clinging to them out of comfort, fear, or obligation, we miss the opportunity to evolve. We prevent ourselves from meeting new people, exploring new opportunities, and taking risks. We continue to settle for less than we deserve, thinking that this is the best we can have, or that we must keep these people in our lives because they're familiar, or because we don't want to face the discomfort of change. But here's where the shift happens. When we start to recognize that some people simply don't have our best interest at heart, we begin to see that letting go is an act of empowerment, not loss. Letting go of those who hinder us allows us to reclaim our time, our mental space, and our emotional energy. It opens up room for new relationships that are supportive, uplifting, and aligned with the direction we want to go. These relationships allow us to grow, challenge us to be better, and encourage us to pursue the goals that were previously overshadowed by doubt and negativity. The process of removing the wrong people from our lives is not always easy, and it doesn't always happen in an instant. In fact, it often requires a painful realization that we've been holding on to something or someone for too long. It requires courage to acknowledge that, despite the attachment or history, this relationship no longer serves us. When we remove the wrong people from our lives, we create space to be more true to ourselves. We stop pretending to be something we're not just to satisfy someone else. We stop compromising our values, our dreams, and our ambitions for the sake of keeping a relationship intact. And in that space, something amazing happens. We begin to evolve into the people we were always meant to be. We become more authentic, more confident, and more aligned with our true path. This doesn't mean we abandon people when they need us, or that we throw away relationships without giving them a chance to grow. But it does mean that we stop settling for people who take more than they give, who bring out our worst instead of our best, or who simply aren't meant to be part of our lives anymore. When we let go of these individuals, we make room for the right people, the ones who will uplift, encourage, and walk alongside us as we continue our journey of self-discovery and growth. Toxic relationships can manifest in many forms, but they all share a common theme. They are damaging to your emotional and mental health. Toxic people create an environment where negativity thrives, where drama is constant, and where the focus is always on conflict or manipulation. These individuals might initially seem harmless, even charming, but over time their true nature reveals itself. They may engage in subtle or overt behaviors that are draining, hurtful, and sometimes downright manipulative. You may start feeling emotionally exhausted after interacting with them, as though their presence saps your energy and leaves you with a sense of depletion. One of the most insidious aspects of toxic relationships is how they can wear you down without you fully realizing it at first. Initially, these people may come into your life offering a sense of companionship, support, or validation. You might even feel special or important in their presence. However, this dynamic begins to shift, often gradually, and you begin to notice that their words and actions are not uplifting, but rather diminishing. They may belittle your accomplishments, dismiss your feelings, or mock your ambitions, slowly eroding your self-esteem. Their criticisms may become more frequent, or their support may feel conditional, offered only when you conform to their expectations. These individuals often leave you feeling as though you can never fully be yourself around them. Toxic people thrive on controlling the narrative. They might use guilt or shame to manipulate you into doing things you're uncomfortable with or things that don't serve your best interests. This could range from guilt-tripping you into prioritizing their needs over your own, to making you feel as though you owe them something for the smallest of favors. Their tendency to turn things around to make you feel responsible for their feelings or actions can make you second-guess yourself constant. In these relationships, your own feelings and boundaries are often disregarded, and you begin to lose sight of your own needs and desires, prioritizing theirs instead. The most troubling aspect of toxic relationships is that they can often leave you feeling trapped. You may feel as though you are unable to escape the cycle of negativity because of emotional, social, or sometimes even financial dependence on the person. You might fear confrontation, not wanting to upset the toxic individual, or you might hold on because of guilt, not wanting to appear ungrateful or uncaring. But here's the reality. Continuing to engage with toxic people does not make you a good person. It makes you a person who is neglecting your own mental health, your peace of mind, and your personal growth. In these relationships, you are often giving far more than you are receiving, which over time leaves you emotionally bankrupt. The negative effects of toxic relationships are not just emotional, but also physical. Stress, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion from these kinds of interactions can manifest in physical symptoms such as headaches, insomnia, or an overall sense of fatigue. You might notice your mood swinging erratically after spending time with toxic people, or you may feel anxious, even thinking about your next encounter with them. Over time, this emotional toll can lead to burnout, depression, or a sense of overwhelming frustration that leaves you feeling stuck. Toxic relationships can distort your perception of reality and create a false sense of obligation or duty, leading you to stay in situations where you feel unsafe or unappreciated. One of the key indicators that you are in a toxic relationship is the constant sense of imbalance. Healthy relationships are built on reciprocity. Both people give and receive in a balanced, respectful way. In toxic relationships, however, the scale is tipped heavily in one direction. One person demands more, takes more, and expects more, while the other is left constantly giving, sacrificing, and compromising without ever receiving the same in return. You may feel as though your emotional needs are never met, or that the toxic person in your life takes from you but never gives back. This imbalance leaves you drained, both emotionally and mentally, as you try to fill a void that can never be filled by someone who doesn't care enough to give back. The damage caused by toxic relationships is not just limited to your emotional state, it can also spill over into other areas of your life. The constant emotional turmoil caused by such relationships can make it difficult to focus on your goals, to pursue your passions, or even to maintain other relationships. It can lead to a loss of confidence, leaving you questioning your worth and your ability to maintain healthy connection. Over time, the negative impact of these toxic dynamics can start to cloud your judgment, leading you to settle for unhealthy patterns in all areas of your life. Recognizing the signs of a toxic relationship is crucial, but often the hardest part is acknowledging that the relationship is no longer serving you. Many people are afraid to confront the reality of a toxic relationship, either because they feel guilty about ending it, fear being alone, or simply don't want to face the discomfort of change. But once you come to the realization that you are in a toxic relationship, the next step is to understand that you deserve better. You have the right to protect your emotional well-being, and you are entitled to have relationships that nourish, support, and uplift you, not deplete and drain you. The most empowering step in removing toxic people from your life is recognizing that doing so is not selfish. In fact, it is one of the most self-loving things you can do. By eliminating toxic influences, you free yourself to pursue healthier, more fulfilling relationships that allow you to thrive. It may be painful at first to let go of someone you've invested time and energy into. But remember that you are not just removing a person, you are removing an obstacle to your own growth and happiness. By cutting ties with those who bring negativity, you make space for positivity and joy to enter your life. Ultimately, toxic relationships are like weeds in the garden of your life. They may seem small or harmless at first, but if left unchecked, they grow and spread, choking out everything around them. Removing them is necessary for your growth, and while it may take time, it's a process that will lead you to a place of greater peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. When you make the decision to eliminate toxic people from your life, you are taking the first step toward reclaiming your power, your peace, and your future. Letting go of people who no longer align with your life is one of the most difficult things you can do, especially when you have shared so much history or invested a great deal of emotional energy in those relationships. It's a process that many people resist because of the emotional attachment to the past or the fear of what might happen next. We tend to hold on to people because we associate them with comfort, familiarity, or even a sense of identity. The thought of letting go can bring a sense of loss, as if we are losing a part of ourselves. But it's important to understand that letting go is not about abandoning or forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from relationships that no longer serve your higher purpose. In our lives, we often become attached to people who were once significant to us, whether they were friends, family, or romantic partners. These people played a role in our journey at some point, and the bond created can feel irreplaceable. However, just because someone was a meaningful part of your past doesn't mean they are meant to stay in your future. People change, grow, or sometimes stay stagnant while you continue evolving. Holding on to these individuals simply because of their history with you can prevent you from moving forward and realizing your true potential. The process of letting go isn't about erasing the good moments or discarding the memories of shared experiences. It's about recognizing that the current version of that person may not support or contribute positively to who you are becoming. You might find that you have outgrown the dynamic, or that your values no longer align. What was once a healthy relationship may have shifted into something unhealthy, where you no longer feel supported, understood, or even seen for who you truly are. When you hold on to these relationships out of a sense of obligation or fear, you are not honoring your own growth. The fear of letting go often stems from the attachment to the past, the good times, the comfort, the sense of belonging. We feel that by letting go of someone, we are losing something important. But in truth, we are not losing anything of value. We are simply making room for better, healthier relationships and more opportunities for personal development. Clinging to people who no longer align with who you are can keep you stuck in a past version of yourself, holding on to patterns of behavior or mindsets that no longer serve your evolving self. Letting go also means releasing expectations. Often we hold on to people because we expect them to fulfill certain roles in our lives, roles that they might no longer be capable of fulfilling. Perhaps they used to provide emotional support, offer guidance, or simply be there for you in ways that were meaningful at one point. However, if they are no longer able to offer these things, or if their presence is now detrimental to your well-being, then it's time to reevaluate their place in your life. This doesn't mean they were bad people, but rather that their role in your journey has come to an end. You cannot continue to hold on to them out of a sense of obligation or a desire for them to be something they are not anymore. Sometimes letting go is not as dramatic as cutting ties completely. It may mean creating distance, setting boundaries, or allowing a natural drift to occur without forcing the relationship to stay as it was. It's important to recognize that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Life brings people into your path for a variety of reasons, but not everyone is meant to stay for the long haul. Each person who enters your life contributes to your journey in some way, whether that contribution is a lesson learned or a step forward in your personal growth. The key is to acknowledge that some relationships, no matter how much history is involved, have run their course. The process of letting go allows you to release the emotional burden of trying to maintain relationships that drain you. You free up emotional space to focus on relationships that nourish and support your growth. When you hold on to the wrong people, you may find that your energy is depleted and you feel unable to invest in relationships that are truly aligned with your values. By letting go, you allow yourself the freedom to focus on what truly matters and what brings you joy and fulfillment. Letting go is also a practice in self-respect. When you hold on to relationships that no longer serve you, you are disrespecting your own needs and boundaries. You may tolerate behaviors or actions that undermine your self-worth, your peace, or your goals, all for the sake of keeping someone in your life. But when you let go of people who aren't treating you the way you deserve, You are affirming your right to be treated with kindness, respect, and love. You are signaling to yourself that your well-being matters more than keeping someone in your life out of obligation or fear of what others might think. The emotional pain that comes from letting go of people can be intense, but it is also temporary. Initially, you may feel grief, loss, or loneliness. However, as time passes, you will begin to realize that the void created by their absence is not something to mourn, but something to celebrate. You are creating space for new people who will appreciate you for who you are, who will uplift you and encourage you to pursue your dreams. You are allowing the universe to bring new relationships into your life that will better align with your current state of being, your values, and your aspirations. Letting go is an act of self-care and self-love. It is about making the difficult decision to choose your own happiness and growth over the comfort of the familiar, even when the familiar is no longer healthy or constructive. By choosing to let go, you honor your own journey and trust that the people who are meant to be in your life will naturally gravitate toward you. Letting go of the past isn't a sign of weakness or failure. It's a sign of strength and clarity. It's the courage to move forward and make space for what is truly meant for you. Letting go of people who no longer align with your life or your purpose requires a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness that many people find difficult to achieve. Often we are taught to cherish relationships and hold on to people regardless of how they treat us, and this can create a false sense of loyalty. Loyalty is essential in relationships. But there's a difference between being loyal to someone and being loyal to a toxic situation that no longer serves your well-being. The challenge lies in understanding the delicate balance between giving people the benefit of the doubt and recognizing when it's time to remove them from your life for your own peace of mind and emotional growth. When you are involved with people who are holding you back, it's easy to fall into the trap of guilt. You may feel guilty for distancing yourself or cutting off someone you have shared time, memories, or experiences with. This guilt can be paralyzing, leading you to question whether you are doing the right thing. You might feel responsible for their feelings or feel like you are betraying them in some way. However, it's important to realize that your mental and emotional health should be your first priority. You are not responsible for someone else's emotional state or happiness, particularly when their behavior negatively impacts you. Recognizing the need to let go of certain relationships often comes with a wave of discomfort. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the truth about the people in your life. It might be hard to accept that the very individuals you thought you could rely on have become a source of stress, negativity, or even manipulation. When you acknowledge this, you may also have to confront the reality that you have been tolerating behavior that goes against your own values or needs. This realization can be painful, especially if you have invested significant emotional energy in these relationships. But it is crucial to acknowledge it so you can take action to protect yourself. Sometimes people who no longer align with your life do so because they are in a different phase of their own journey. People grow, evolve, and change. The person you were friends with, partnered with, or considered close might no longer be on the same path as you, and their interests or values may have shifted. They may not intentionally be holding you back, but their priorities and perspectives may no longer match yours. In this case, letting go is not about rejecting the other person, but about recognizing that the relationship no longer fits the direction you are heading. Holding on to these relationships out of a sense of obligation or fear of losing connection can keep you stagnant as you continue to grow and evolve. It's natural that the relationships around you will either grow with you or fall away. It's also essential to remember that letting go isn't about cutting people off impulsively or out of anger. It is a process that requires reflection, introspection, and understanding. It may begin with setting boundaries, limiting interactions, or creating physical or emotional space to evaluate the relationship from a distance. This gives you the clarity to see the situation for what it is, without the emotional entanglement clouding your judgment. It allows you to assess whether this relationship is contributing positively to your life or if it's merely draining you of your energy. Often the emotional attachment to someone blinds us to the reality that they no longer fit into our current life situation. Another aspect of letting go is realizing that you don't need to explain or justify your decision to everyone. While some people may understand your reasoning, others may try to guilt trip you or make you feel as though you're being unreasonable. However, your emotional health is not up for negotiation. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself, your happiness, and your peace of mind over maintaining a toxic or draining relationship. You don't need permission to prioritize your well-being. Letting go can be empowering, and in many cases, once you take that step, you'll notice a dramatic shift in your emotional landscape. You'll find that you are more focused, more energized, and more able to cultivate relationships that align with who you are and who you aspire to be. In letting go, you also embrace the fact that some relationships are simply seasonal. People come into our lives for reasons that may only make sense in hindsight. They might be there to teach us something, challenge us in ways we didn't expect, or provide us with experiences that shape our personal growth. But not every person is meant to be a permanent fixture in your life. When the season of that relationship comes to an end, you must accept that it is time to part ways. The attachment to the idea of the relationship may linger, but you must trust that letting go is necessary for your own emotional evolution. The pain of letting go often comes from the fear of being alone or the fear of losing something important. We tend to tie our identity to the relationships we have, so losing someone can sometimes feel like losing a part of ourselves. But the reality is that letting go opens up space for new, more aligned connections to enter your life. These relationships are healthier, more supportive, and offer opportunities for you to grow in ways that the old relationships never could. When you release the people who are holding you back, you create the freedom to invite people who are better suited to the person you are becoming. In the process of letting go, it is vital to remind yourself that this is an act of self-love. It's not an act of selfishness, but rather an act of valuing yourself enough to protect your mental and emotional space. If you continue to surround yourself with individuals who are holding you back, you are neglecting your own needs, your own dreams, and your own happiness. Letting go is about acknowledging your worth and recognizing that you deserve relationships that nourish, inspire, and uplift you, not relationships that drain, diminish, or harm you. By choosing to let go of those who no longer serve your higher purpose, you are choosing to honor yourself and your journey. As we reflect on the journey of recognizing the toxic relationships in our lives, the necessity of letting go, and the profound power of choosing ourselves, we must understand that the path to personal growth is often a challenging but liberating one. Letting go of people who no longer align with your life's direction is not a sign of weakness, but rather an act of strength and self-respect. It is about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of negativity and opening the doors to new opportunities, healthier connections, and a life that is in harmony with your true self. The process of removing the wrong people from your life is deeply personal and sometimes painful, but it is also an essential step towards creating space for peace, growth, and happiness. As you walk forward, know that each decision you make to prioritize your well-being is an investment in your future. It takes courage to make these changes, to trust in the process, and to believe that you deserve better. But you do. You deserve relationships that lift you, that inspire you, and that nurture your journey. Good luck on your path to personal freedom, peace, and fulfillment. You have the strength to move forward and the wisdom to choose what's best for you. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for being open to the possibility of embracing a future filled with healthier, more positive relationships. Take this message with you, knowing that every step you take towards letting go of the wrong people is a step towards becoming the best version of yourself.